Hello again, and welcome to another Tribulation Ready Survival episode. I'm Mike, and so here today we're going to do some basic map reading. Now, the basic map reading that I'm going to do today is going to be using road maps, which also have some terrain features on them. For example, it'll show mountains and water and points of interest and those types of things. So there's different types of maps. There are terrain maps, there are road maps, and there are political maps. Sorry about that, there was somebody driving up here. There are political maps that just show the boundaries between states and countries and those types of things. But today we're going to center all of our focus on road maps. Now, these road maps are going to get you from point A to point B. Because everybody is relying on their telephones, cell phones, I should say, showing my age there. But they're relying on their cell phones and their in-vehicle navigation systems. Now, those are all well and good. I have used those. Both as a police officer and as a military veteran. I've used those, but I'm going to tell you that in a crisis situation where it is a national emergency, those systems are going to go offline for civilians like you and me. Most of those GPS satellites are owned and operated by government and government contractors. And in a time of serious situation and or public control, those services that you use are going to be unavailable. And because they can and they will shut them off at their leisure. So I wouldn't recommend using those. I have used them, and they're pretty good. They'll get you around where you need to go turn by turn some of the times, but some of the times they don't. Now, let's talk about your cell phones and those navigations. Now, your cell phone, depending on the brand and the quality of the phone you have, I know my phone does not have GPS. I don't have access to this phone GPS. However, what my phone does have access to is navigation through its location according to cell phone towers. Now, not going into the specifics of how that works, but I have studied how that works. Basically, what it does is your phone continuously sends out signals to and from the nearest cell phone tower, whether it be your provider or not, to tell you where your phone is located, or tell someone else where your phone is located. And if you're not near a tower, or you're not near enough of a signal, you're not going to get that, what we call a ping, on your phone to get you a good enough location. So, with that being said, map reading is an important skill to have and to learn. And it is one of those that will go stagnant. You kind of forget things, and if you forget things, you need to brush up on those. So I learned and taught a class on map reading and land navigation while I was in the military. And so some of these skills, I even after 16 years of using them and teaching them, I'm still a little rusty in a few places. And so I think this is a great opportunity for me to brush up and to kind of help you guys maybe learn something that you didn't know about getting around in navigation. Now, and so today, the map I'm going to show you is the map of the state of Idaho, which I received from their Department of Transportation and Visitors. So let's get started. Okay, so now that I know what it's a map of, and I know that it does show a depiction of the entire state, you'll see here that it has a symbol for the cardinal directions, north, and then south, east, and west. They're not listed on there, but you can figure that out. So now that I'm familiar with the map, I'm going to move down here to the map legend. Now, the map legend is very important. Most maps have them, especially road maps, and this gives you a couple of pieces of information. Right here, it shows you what the scale is. This is a 1 to 1,248,000 scale. Also, it shows you here, this is going to be different, but this is going to help you judge distance from 0 to 40 miles. And we'll get to that here in just a little bit. Also, if you're on the metric system and you like that, you can go here through kilometers, meters and kilometers if you wish. Now, the legend itself shows certain things. Me being a map nerd, this is one of my favorite parts. It shows you all kinds of roads that are improved. It shows you trails. It shows you roads that don't, like dirt roads, those types of things. It shows you different highways, airports, rest areas, ski areas, and, you know, in a survival situation, you may not necessarily want to go to those places, but if you were able to find those places, you would know where you're at on this map and navigate from that point. You could also, if you live in this area, you should probably already know kind of a good idea what's around you. But if you aren't, then this is a good way to look on the map and see what features this has. Okay, so most maps, especially road maps, are usually cut up into, or sectioned out into a grid. This one is set up A through, and it goes all the way down through R. So A, B, C, and you'll see that each one is cut up into a box, and then it corresponds in a grid with the number 1 through, in this case, let's see, it goes all the way through 14. Because Idaho is not a square-shaped state, it kind of cuts off here and there, but you'll be able to figure it out. So if I wanted to go to White Bird, so White Bird is right here. I know that if I was on my left side, I would be at H, and if I look up at 3, H3, right there is Whitebird. So, is it specific? No, it's not. But is it in the same grid? Yes. So now that I can find H3, I can figure out where I'm at and figure out how to get there. So, that's just an example of how to use the grid on the map. And most maps have that. Some military maps don't go this way. They use different measurements. But it also has, if you're interested, if you're a map nerd like me, it also has the negative or positive degrees on the upper side. And then on the left-hand side, this one has the eastings and northings on the left-hand side. Okay? So, and this goes all the way up for grid. For each grid, it's got its designator. There we go. Focus it up. Okay, so this is something called the index, and a lot of road maps, I like them, the road maps, because it has these types of places. So remember we were talking about Whitebird. Whitebird is right here, and I hadn't looked at it, but I did find it just using the grid. Now it says right here H3, Whitebird. We were right because we used the grid. But if I wanted to go to Smith's Ferry, we'll move up here. There's Smith's Ferry. That's at L3. So, down here on the bottom, it's coordinated with the top. There's 3, and I want to go to L. So let's find L3. Here's my L. Here's my 3. Oh, there it is. Smith's Ferry. So we know that that's what that is. It is a index of not every city, but most cities in this state, and using the grid, we can find the location of that place. Now, it also has some information as far as population. For example, if I get closer here, cities and towns over here is located, the city of Aberdeen is population of 1,994 people. Now, not every city. For example, Ahasaka, I'm sorry if you live there, that I butchered the name of your town, sorry. But we know it's located at F3 and there's just not a population listed for it. But some of the other towns are listed here, and you can see that they have a general population. Now, the next thing we're going to go to is a mileage chart. Now, this mileage chart is a general mileage chart using, and most road maps have these, using also a type of grid pattern, if you will. For example, major cities on this map are going to be on the left-hand and the right-hand side. You'll notice that there's American Falls and American Falls. Now, using the major roadways, this is using major roadways. This will tell you the mileage between, let's say, the upper left-hand falls, American Falls. So we'll go to the left side and then go down. We want to go to Caldwell. So American Falls. And I want to go to Caldwell. I know that that's 235 miles using the roads that they have indicated. But if I want to go from, let's pick another one, Coeur d'Alene, and I want to go to, let's see, follow the line, grid all the way across, to Orofino. Never been there. This is Orofino. I know that from Coeur d'Alene to Orofino is 160 miles. And that is road distance from that they picked, usually using the major roadways, to get from point A to point B. Now, this also has red and black numbers on it. On this particular map, because it is up in basically the northwest of the United States, it also has roads that will go out of the state into another state and then come back into the state, so you're crossing state lines to come back across. And it indicates those in red. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I would use this map if I had it and I was in Idaho and I was, let's say, canoeing or kayaking somewhere down the Salmon River Mountains in that area. Okay, let's just say I went to right here to Loon Creek. I was kayaking or canoeing down Loon Creek, and big storm came, boat breaks in half, and now I'm on foot. So if I knew I was on Loon Creek and I don't have my canoe anymore and I have this map, I would know my north and south, my east and west, because the sun comes up in the east and sets in the west. Anywhere on the planet except for at the poles, depending on your flat earth theory or not. But we're not going to go into that. So, anyway, so if I'm here on Loon Creek and I have this map and now I'm on foot, I don't know how to get to civilization, I would know that somewhere along Loon Creek, if I could find, and probably could see from this location, if I could see Pinyon Peak, which is 9,942 feet, which is probably sticking up pretty high from there, I would probably be able to, well, that's pretty sad, River of No Return Wilderness. I don't know if I'd go kayaking there. Anyway, sorry, that was pretty funny. But if I'm kayaking and I get lost and I find this peak, I can see this peak, I would know that it's to my west. And so if it's to my west, I might want to go somewhere north or south, and there's really not much over here. as far as places, towns, but I would be able to follow the creek along this path, or this. This is actually a road, unpaved road, but I could follow this road, or I could follow the creek that I was, kayaking in or whatever, and I would be able to know that, okay, there's a bigger peak over here, and that's the general, so I'm going to go south if I want to go towards the nearest town. Oh, look, Custer Ghost Town. Well, I don't know if that's a place that's got a lot of people, but there's probably going to be somebody around there that you can get some help from if you need to. So, there's different ways to use this map, and it's not just to get from point A to point B on the highway. This, in a survival situation, a map like this is priceless. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an example of taking a measurement using, let me fold this up here, using the scale that we have right here. We went over this earlier, and I'm going to use this scale right here, and I'm going to measure a road distance. I haven't picked a spot yet, so let's see. Let's pick an easy one. From Haley to Shoshone. Okay, I'm going to move this up. So, from Haley to Shoshone, right down here at the bottom. Sorry, my hand was in the way. Let's see how far that is. Okay, I'm going to start at the very edge of my paper now. And I come to the first little crux there. So I started there. I'll just kind of make my note. I started there. Okay, so there's my first one. Now I'll line this up with the next crux in the road if I can. Mark it there. Okay, so I made a little mark there. So now it's kind of a straight line. And we're not going to get it all the way. We'll do as best we can. So right about there. And then from there to there. So that's Shoshone, and that's Haley. We went all the way down this road. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move, bring this up here so you can see the scale. Now, I'm going to show you how to measure this. And you can do it upside down, or you can do it whichever way. But I'm going to line it up. I can do it up here if I wanted to. But since I'm going this direction, it's all a matter of how you want to do it, either way. So I can mark it here. That's 40 miles plus whatever I have over here. Sorry, I put my finger in the way. So that's 40 miles plus whatever we have over here. So then once I make my mark and I know that's where I ended, I'll mark it at the end and bring it here. So that's about 5 miles. So 45 miles. Okay, now I'm going to do one on here. So we're back to this scale again. And it's not a scale, this mileage chart. We're back to this mileage chart again. And I'm going to do one that we do know. So let's fold this down a little bit and find one that we know. So let's pick one that's reasonable. From American Falls to Idaho Falls. American Falls to Idaho Falls. So let's find American Falls first. American Falls is P10. So that's going to be, right, let's see, P10. So let's bring them over. Okay, so there's American Falls. And I said I was going to Idaho Falls. So American Falls, let's find Idaho Falls. Okay, I'm going to put my finger on that so I don't forget it. Idaho Falls. Idaho Falls. Idaho Falls. That's on N11, so we're going to have to use this section on the map. P10 to N11. P10 to, okay, so right here. So American Falls all the way over here to Idaho Falls. We're going to measure that distance. And that distance is, since it's on US 86 or Interstate 86, okay, we're going to measure that distance. It says on here that it is, let's see, American Falls to Idaho Falls, 72 miles. So 72. Let's see what we can do, see how close we can get by measuring out using the scale. So I'm going to get me a nice fresh spot of paper here. American Falls. Mark it at the edge. So there's my edge. Mark it to the first crux that I get to. There's another one. There's one. And the best I can do, it's not perfect because it's, here's another one. And then we got to go up this stretch of road to about right there. And then I might be able to get it there. Where am I going? Okay, right there. And that's Idaho Falls. So, what did we say? It was 72 miles. So, let's bring our scale back up. Okay, so we're back at our scale. I said 72 miles. Okay, so let's see how close we are. Bring my edge right there. So that's exactly 40. So we'll just make this a big line so we know that that's where we measured to so far. It's 40. Oh man, look at that. That's a good one. 40 plus 30, so that's 70. And that's about 2 miles. 72 miles. So that's how you do it.